Gracias for tuning in once more, guys. I'm Jaime En Fuego. This is Enfuegotainment, and this is our 7th episode of 11/22/63 coverage here, the HULU series based on the Stephen King book. And I have my two homies from the horror show with me once again.
What up? I'm Cecil Laird.
I'm Marsh Parker.
Gracias for joining me, guys. And we only have 2 episodes left of this started out amazing series that, as we discussed in our episode 6 review, feels like it's lost some steam, lost a little momentum, and what an ironic time to lose it. It's like we're right at the finish, and it's kind of thumping to the finish line.
You never want your penultimate episode to be a limp.
Yeah.
No, you wanted to be like, I can't wait to the next one. No, I'm just like, I kind of fell asleep in this episode.
Oh, man, she admits it. So, yeah, it was kind of a boredom-inducing episode once again. We're really hoping for some redemption in episode 8, but episode 7, they're putting their last couple ducks in a row before we actually get to the finale, and we always do a little bit of good, bad, and ugly coverage here in Enfuegotainment. The Espanol spin is Bueno, Malo, and Feo, and so good for me. We know who's going to be pulling the trigger on this. It's Lee Harvey Oswald, and for the first time, or do we? Yes, we think we do.
Wouldn't that be a curveball?
Oh my goodness!
And wouldn't that just be par for the course with this show? Just at the end, going, no, not him at all. Someone else.
Exactly. You thought it was him? Sorry,
nope.
But they're at least leading us to believe that he's going to do it. And the bueno that I was going to mention is the fact that this actor portraying him for one of the first times, I actually was like, okay, this guy's kind of giving me some. Not chills necessarily, but I'm really buying into the fact that he's kind of got some screws loose for the first time, and I'm actually impressed with his performance. He's given an essence of dread, and where, he's got some relationship problems going on. Him and Marina, they have since split up. We found out in the last episode, I don't think he knows, but Bill, before getting locked in the insane asylum, was presumably doinking his lady. Who knows if he was even the father of this new baby that she has at this point. But I guess that's what he gets for, forging that friendship with Bill. And Bill is on the way out.
That's
or
my bueno.
Is he?
You want to go to my bueno?
Is he? This guy has a bueno. I'm talking Lee Harvey for mine, but I know Cecil has been waiting for this to happen for the whole season pretty much.
No more Bill the Foil!
Yeah! And that's kind of a spoiler, but...
And it's kind of funny that we're cheering about it, but in actuality, it's kind of a sad way he went out.
Yeah.
But nonetheless, I was happy to see him go. As predictable as his exit was, it still was... I was just relieved to see it.
Yeah.
I was just like, oh, good, okay. At least I get one episode without Bill the Foil.
Well, and at least they tied it together as opposed to just having him stuck in the asylum forever. I mean, so Franco gets the crap beaten out of him in this last episode, right? And so he's in a similar state to Sadie, but even worse. Like, he got some head injuries, and so he can't really remember what's going on. And was that a bueno for you, Marcia? Did they at least handle that adaptation well, being that you read the book?
Yeah, I thought they did a good job. I mean, everything else, it's rushed and skimmed over a lot of time periods. Like, they're like, okay, 10 days later, 5 days later, 8 days later, kind of showing you the progression and try to build a little bit of tense because you're like, okay, he's in the hospital. Is he going to get out in time? Is he going to remember? Is he going to be able to stop it? I mean, it was okay.
Keyword, it was okay.
It was okay. I wasn't that intrigued by it. I thought they blew over a lot of stuff, and they were kind of just boring with it. I was bored. I fell asleep. I'm sorry. Yeah,
and so I guess that is a good segue into the Malo, the bad already, unless you had something else good to mention. Once again, this is another episode where they just kind of... I was hoping for redemption after episode 6, and yet these two back-to-back, I almost feel like they mushed together as far as, like, all right, we're waiting for things to happen. They're just waiting. They're
trying to tie everything up in a nice little neat bow before the event actually occurs. Because they took so long in the other episodes to actually get to this point.
But that doesn't even make sense from a show standpoint. Why would you want to tie everything up before you get to the season finale?
No.
Because there's a lot of stuff that still has to happen.
No, I know, but all that preparation should tie into that.
Yeah.
It shouldn't be stuff they needed to tie up before they get to the interesting stuff.
It's true.
That's an innate flaw.
I don't understand why they would get rid of Bill right before everything was going to happen. Like I said,
he was just a foil. That's literally why.
I know, but they could have at least used him instead of just...
I thought he was going to be a second shooter.
Yeah,
Yeah, which they implied in the last episode, but then they totally threw that implication out once again. Abandoned ship, guys. And yeah, the whole scatterbrain jumping around, I think I mentioned it a little bit in the previous episode, but it felt even worse to me in this one. It was my big malo, was that, like you just said, they kept jumping around and skipping dates and all this stuff, and it felt like they were just trying to get there as opposed to give the proper explanation.
Like one whole day was him popping pills. I was like, okay.
No, yes, I understand that he's struggling now, and
that's actually segues into my Malo, is that really in an 8-episode show we're gonna go amnesia for an episode for our main character,
and at the end too.
Oh my god, really? Okay, so with all the stuff that needs to get done, now we're gonna have to rehash what happened in the first 6 episodes in order to catch our main character up on the plot.
Yeah, like we go back to Chris Cooper, and I thought he's been good the whole time. But
well, he's not going to even remember anything anyways because he wasn't even involved in any of the investigation.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, Bill was doing most of it.
Like, what does he think he's gonna? Yeah, he's not gonna get any info from any of his investigation for sure. It was just a mess.
It was kind of neat to see the mental institution, though, how crazy it was and the way people were being treated
back in the 60s.
Yeah, I thought that was kind of fun to watch, but I mean, it didn't really make any sense.
A very minor Bueno.
Sorry, I just couldn't. We were talking about it. Maybe think that part was kind of cool.
Yeah, and the only other minor Bueno, I said no earlier when you asked, but the only other minor Bueno is part of the reason why we have this bad boy out.
Yeah.
We finally got to see something happen with a gun, even though nothing actually happened. We just got to see the gun.
We got to see the gun,
but at least it came
him
out
carrying something around.
Exactly. Well, it came out at the very end. Yeah, but nonetheless, it's. Finally, we get to see the gun, and so we thought it was appropriate to have a similar weapon. We're in Arizona. Don't hate on us. We're allowed to have this.
Exactly right. The Wild Wild West.
Exactly. But yeah, for me, the Malo was the pacing and the just because it dragged. Not only did it jump all over the place, and not only was it silly to have our main character have to rediscover everything again, but it was so slow in doing it. Yeah. It took him forever before he started to remember anything, and then it was a slow trickle, and it just seemed like such a weird. It's not as though we just came off of a really action-packed episode and we needed to slow things down.
No, we came off a slow episode, and we maintained the slowness.
Exactly. So
yeah, I guess the last fail, it came so close to being a Bueno moment because that yellow card guy that I think I was talking about in the last episode, I was wondering what are they going to do with him because he popped up in the first few episodes and then was just gone. And I know in the last review you had said that he plays a pretty big part in this story, right?
Yeah, I mean,
at least in the book.
Well, in the book, he pops up, he keeps popping up, and then you don't realize the significance until obviously in the end, but they don't make him prevalent throughout the whole series, so when they just kind of throw him back in, people, you guys had the correct reaction, why all of a sudden is this guy coming back?
And is he like a supernatural force? Because the lights flickered and he appeared in place of his wife in a little dream. I don't.
Yeah,
it's so unclear.
The confusion of
it's so unclear that it's frustrating. It's the point of frustration rather than intrigue.
Yeah, and it is a fine line at times with that, but they're just not really giving you enough.
Once they establish what his main role is, it'll make sense. But at the same time, if they do,
there's one episode left now.
Because it would be kind of a waste of time if they don't establish his importance. But I mean, I don't like the way they used him either. I thought
his backstory was okay, but it was just a little over the top, and I was so confused as to why he was there that I had trouble focusing on what he was saying, I suppose. Or maybe, I don't know. I'm gathering that's why it didn't impact for me.
And just the whole confusion with the fact that I thought they were going to tie things in more with the FBI and some of this other stuff. I think I talked in the
Which
previous
seems like a real rinky-dink operation.
Oh, yeah. He just strolls right in. And,
It's like 4 cops and it's a cube farm. Whoa.
Yeah, I'm assuming it was still pretty new at the time. But all of that tie-in with, history and conspiracy theories and stuff like that, the explanation not only isn't there, and I feel like they've just given up on really trying to explain it at this point. They're more concerned with getting Sadie and Jake back to the future so they can get married or something like that.
God. Oh, if that ends up happening, if they both go back to the future, it will be so frustrating that it was such a frou-frou ending. At the very most, he should stay back there with her. But I would imagine that would throw the past off and they both end up going over a bridge or something because they can't have kids because it would change the future.
Yeah, the past is going to push it.
Oh, who knows?
I know what happens.
So convoluted.
Yes, we know you do. So, I guess
I think I know. I don't know what they're going to do.
Let us be disappointed.
Please. Hey, maybe they might throw you a curveball because remember the end of The Mist and how much that was changed compared to the source material. Another Stephen King story where everybody dies at the end of that. And
I'm really interested to see how they're going to finish this off. I really am, because there's still there is still a lot left of the story that hasn't even been touched off, because you have to do the assassination. What happens after the assassination?
Yeah, because we're right there. We're like hours from the assassination at the end of the 7th episode.
And he still has to go back to the future to find out if it changed anything, and what are they going to do there? You know, so that's a pretty big episode. That's a lot to have in a
Well, it'll be an hour and a half, I think.
That's what I was just about to mention. I hope it's another 90-minute one, just like the very first episode was, so they can tie up some of this stuff.
It would have to be, but that's still a lot to happen in an episode.
For sure.
So.
Yeah.
I'm interested.
Yeah, Lucy, you got some splaining to do, although I don't necessarily think that they're going to, but fingers firmly crossed in this final episode as we trudge our way to it that we won't be as disappointed as we were in episode 6 and 7. So we're going to wrap it up at this point. I have to extend a grande gracias to MPH here, Ms. aka Rainbow Rules on The Horror Show, which is a program that all three of us do together, along with various other awesome contributors, and Cecil's going to give you the lowdown on it.
Horror Variety Show, youtube.com/The Horror Show channel, horror movie reviews, how-tos, comedy sketches, celebrity interviews, all kinds of good stuff. Check it out.
Loads of the Fright-tastic, and that's what all of us do together, so please be sure to scope that out. You can always see me covering the hottest entertainment with an edge here on Enfuegotainment. You can connect with me on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, obviously here on YouTube. Do that. Like, share, and subscribe stuff. It's greatly appreciated. And yeah, guys, until we get to the final episode of this started out very good Stephen King maxi series that is kind of limping to the finish line. Once again, guys, a grande gracias, and until next time, hasta luego, sin amigos. But let's make it sooner rather than later for this final episode, shall we? Adios.
Come on.
Meow. Sorry, my pussy got in the way.